Okay, so for this deep dive, I want to start with a little mental experiment.
Okay, alrighty.
I want you to imagine you've just been dropped, blindfolded, into the middle of a chaotic, bustling, open-air market.
Right.
Somewhere really vibrant, like Lagos or Marrakech.
Okay, I'm picturing it. It's loud, it's crowded, smells like spices, maybe some exhaust fumes.
Exactly. Total sensory overload. But here's the catch.
Uh-oh.
You don't speak the language. There are zero signs, no price tags, no customer service desk. You have absolutely no context for anything.
That sounds pretty stressful. Just pure noise.
It feels that way, but here's the real question. If you just stood there for an hour, just watching, could you figure it out? Could you figure out how the market works?
I think so. Yeah, eventually, you'd start to see patterns.
Like what?
You'd see who's handing over money and who's handing over, vegetables or goods.
Right.
You'd figure out that the people standing behind the tables are the sellers.
Yeah.
People wandering around with baskets, they're the buyers.
Exactly. You'd spot the teenagers with backpacks and think, okay, those are probably students just buying a snack. You'd see the people in uniforms and realize that must be security.
You're finding the pattern in all that noise?
Yeah.
You're clustering people based on their behavior.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're clustering them. Nobody gave you a manual. Nobody labeled the people for you with little name tags saying buyer. You just found the structure. And here is where it all clicks. That human ability to walk into chaos and find structure without any instructions is the exact mechanism behind what we're unpacking today.
It's what the computer scientists call unsupervised learning.
And it is, and this is not an exaggeration, the engine that is quietly driving some of the biggest changes in our economy right now.
It really is the brain behind the curtain.
So welcome to the deep dive. We have a fascinating stack of sources for you today that are going to take us from that abstract idea all the way to your paycheck. We've got a technical training guide on pattern discovery that breaks down the how. Then we have an industry report on how this tech is reshaping, healthcare, finance, transport.
And then the third one, which really brings it home.
Yes, a direct analysis of the impact on your personal career.
It's a great mix. We get to connect all the dots. We're going from the abstract concept of a machine learning without a teacher all the way down to your actual job security.
So let's start with the brain, the how. This training guide defines unsupervised learning in a way that feels almost a little bit rebellious.
Rebellious. How so?
Well, normally when we think of AI, we think of it like teaching a kid. You give it a test, it gets an answer, and you say right or wrong. You hold its hand.
That's supervised learning. The old school way. You feed it 1,000,000 pictures of a cat, and you explicitly label every single one cat.
Right. You give it the answer key.
Then you show it a dog, label it dog, and eventually it learns the difference because you told it the difference.
But this source on pattern discovery says, and I'm quoting here, no labeled examples, no predefined categories, no answers given in advance. That sounds like throwing it in the deep end.
It does, but that's the whole game changer. Because think about the real world. Think about that market we started with.
Right.
Does the real world come with neat little labels on everything?
No, definitely not. Life is unlabeled.
Exactly. Most data in the world is messy, unstructured. If we had to sit there and manually tag every single email, every transaction, every x-ray before an AI could get it, we'd never get anywhere.
And it's just too slow, too expensive.
We generate way too much data for that.
So unsupervised learning is just the computer acting like we did in the market.
Precisely. You feed it a massive, messy pile of raw data, let's say millions of credit card transactions, and you just say, go, tell me what you see.
You don't tell it what fraud looks like.
Nope, you don't tell it anything.
Yeah.
And it's not looking for things we told it to find. It's looking for structure.
The source material has a phrase I really liked. It said the goal is to transform chaos into structure.
I highlighted that too. It sounds almost magical. But practically, the guide mentions two main ways it does this: clustering and dimensionality reduction.
They sound very sci-fi, very technical.
They do, but the concepts are actually super intuitive if we go back to our market.
Okay, let's start with clustering.
Clustering is exactly what you did in that market. You
Oh.
saw a bunch of people with backpacks, and in your head, you grouped them together.
Right, and the people behind the tables, I grouped them together.
Exactly. You didn't know what the groups were called yet, but you knew the people inside them were similar to each other.
So the AI is just plotting data points on a graph and seeing which ones hang out together.
That's it. It's grouping like with like. The source guide uses a great example. Customer segmentation for a big retailer.
Okay.
You've got millions of shoppers. The AI just looks at their buying habits and might notice, hey, this group of 50,000 people, They always buy diapers and beer on Friday nights.
Diapers and beer. Is that a real thing?
It's a classic data science legend. The theory is, exhausted parents picking up diapers for the baby and grabbing a six-pack for themselves.
Ah.
The point is, the AI found a hidden group, a cluster, that a human might have totally missed.
Okay, so that's clustering, finding hidden groups. What about dimensionality reduction? That one sounds like it's from a Star Trek episode.
It does sound intense, but again, back to the market. When you were trying to figure things out, were you paying attention to the shape of the clouds in the sky?
No.
Or the cracks in the pavement?
No, of course not. That's just background noise.
Right, you were filtering out all the irrelevant information to focus on what actually mattered, the exchange of money and goods.
I see.
That is dimensionality reduction.
So the dimensions are just details, like
Yeah.
irrelevant details.
Exactly. A data set might have thousands of dimensions: temperature, time of day, color, speed, location. But maybe only 2 or 3 of those actually matter for finding the pattern.
So this is the math that strips away the noise to find the signal.
Spot on. It makes the super complex simple enough to actually see what's going on.
The source gives a really concrete example of this: mobile money.
Yes, and this is where it stops being theory and starts, protecting people's bank accounts.
So we have millions of transactions a day. The goal is stopping fraud. The old way, I assume, was to just write a rule. If a transaction is over $10,000, flag it.
Right, a rule-based system.
Yeah.
Very rigid. And what does a smart criminal do as soon as they figure out that rule?
Steal $9,999.
Exactly. Rule-based systems are brittle. But with unsupervised learning, you don't define what fraud is.
The source says it detects unusual activity without being explicitly told what fraud looks like. That sounds impossible. How does it know it's fraud if it doesn't know what fraud is?
Because it learns what normal is. It uses clustering to see that 99.9% of all transactions look a certain way. They happen at certain times, for certain amounts, from certain places. That's the big normal cluster.
Okay, so it builds a picture of boring everyday life.
Pretty much. And then it sees one single transaction that's way out in the middle of nowhere on the graph. It doesn't fit the cluster. It's an anomaly.
So the AI doesn't know why it's weird. It just knows that it is weird.
Yes. It's like if everyone in our market is walking and one person is suddenly sprinting backward while juggling, you don't need a rule book to know that person is worth a closer look.
And the beauty is, even if it's a brand new kind of fraud nobody has ever seen,
Something the programmers couldn't possibly have predicted.
the system will still flag it because it breaks the pattern of normal.
That is so powerful. It's proactive instead of reactive. It's finding the unknown unknowns.
Which connects perfectly to our second source, because that shift from reactive to proactive is reshaping entire industries.
Yeah, it's not just banking apps anymore.
So let's look at this report, How AI is Transforming Industries. It covers finance, healthcare, retail, and transport. And honestly, this isn't future tech. This is now tech.
It's foundational. It's like the electricity in the walls. You don't see it, but nothing works without it.
Let's stick with finance for a second. The report mentions credit scoring and automated trading.
Okay, think about credit scores. Traditionally, it's a pretty rigid checklist, right?
Yeah.
But unsupervised learning can look at thousands of other data points. Your spending habits, income stability, even how you use the banking app to cluster you into a more nuanced risk profile.
So it might find that someone who checks their balance every day is actually a safer borrower, even if their income is a bit lower.
Potentially. It finds these hidden correlations.
Yeah.
And in trading, it's all happening in milliseconds. The report talks about real-time risk management,
Which is just our market analogy on steroids.
a giant global market on steroids. The AI is spotting the anomalies before a human trader can even blink.
Okay, but let's look at healthcare. This one felt more personal. The report uses that word proactive again.
This is the holy grail for medicine, isn't it? Moving from sick care to actual health care, keeping you from getting sick in the first place.
The source mentions analyzing medical images and accelerating drug discovery. How does that work?
Well, drug discovery is basically a giant search problem. You have millions of chemical compounds, and you're looking for the one that will work.
A needle in a haystack.
A haystack the size of a planet. But an AI can use clustering to say, hey, these 50 compounds look structurally similar to other drugs that have worked. It massively narrows the search.
So it doesn't invent the drug, it just tells the scientists where to dig for gold.
Exactly. It's a super-powered filter. And on the patient side, it's looking at X-rays and MRIs and spotting those tiny little anomalies, those slight changes in tissue density.
That a tired human doctor might miss at 4 p.m. on a Friday.
It's already happening. The key phrase in the source is that it augments professionals. It's not replacing the doctor, it's giving the doctor a bionic eye.
Let's shift to retail. The report says it's about personalizing shopping experiences.
And the supply chain. Don't forget the supply chain.
Right.
Predicting demand. Unsupervised learning is looking at weather patterns, social media trends, sales data, everything. To predict that, say, people in Chicago are going to want a certain type of coat in 3 weeks.
So they ship the coats before people even know they're cold.
That's the dream. It's all about efficiency.
Yeah.
And finally, transport. Autonomous vehicles. This is the ultimate pattern recognition test.
It has to be. A self-driving car is just a robot running a massive unsupervised learning loop every single millisecond.
Is that a car? A pedestrian? Shadow.
And the report's claim is this makes systems safer and more sustainable. Road optimization, less fuel, all of that.
The hive mind idea. If every car knows where every other car is, the AI can optimize the flow for everyone.
Total efficiency.
So we have this picture of world running on this pattern recognition engine. It's efficient, proactive, safe, but, and this is the big pivot, what about the human in the middle of all this?
The impact on you.
Yes. Our third document, Impact of AI on You, is remarkably blunt about it. It frames your entire career future as a pretty stark binary choice. It does not pull its punches. It basically says you either ride the wave or you get pulled under by it.
Okay, let's look at career development. The disadvantage column says, limited job opportunities and missed career advancement due to lack of AI skills.
Lack of AI skills. That's the key.
Well, what does that actually mean? Do I have to become a coder? A data scientist? Because a lot of listeners are going to tune out right there.
No, I don't think so. I don't think it means everyone needs to code. I think AI skills here means AI literacy.
Meaning?
Do you understand what the tool does? Do you know how to ask it the right questions? Can you look at the clusters it finds and figure out what they mean for your business?
So it's not about building the engine, it's about knowing how to drive the car.
Exactly. Because the advantage is increased job opportunities and a competitive edge. If you're a marketing manager who knows how to use these tools to find those customer segments we talked about,
You're way more valuable than the one who's just guessing.
you have a superpower, you have leverage, you can do the work of 10 people.
Which leads right into business operations. The risk here is just sticking to manual tasks.
This is the productivity trap.
Yeah.
We all have those repetitive parts of our jobs, right?
Yeah.
Sorting emails, data entry, basic reports.
Sure.
The source says if you keep doing that manually, you're wasting your brain power on things a machine should be doing.
And the reward is higher productivity. Offload the grunt work so you can focus on the actual strategy.
Exactly.
Okay, but let's address the elephant in the room. We have to talk about job security.
Yep. Can't ignore that one.
The source lists job displacement as a clear disadvantage. It doesn't sugarcoat it at all.
No, and it shouldn't. If your job is, 90% tasks that involve sorting data or spotting really simple patterns, then yeah, you are at risk.
But right next to it, under advantages, it says job security through upskilling.
That's the whole paradox. The technology destroys tasks, not necessarily jobs.
But if you refuse to let go of the tasks the machine can do,
Then you lose the job. But if you upskill, if you learn to manage the machine, to interpret what it finds, you become indispensable.
it's like the transition from scribes to printing presses, or accountants when spreadsheets came out.
That's the perfect analogy. When Excel was invented, people thought accountants were doomed. But we have more accountants now than ever.
They just don't spend their days adding up columns anymore.
Right, they spend their days analyzing what the columns mean. They moved up the value chain.
They became the pilot, not the engine.
Yes. The human is still in the loop, but the human needs to know how to work the loop. In healthcare, the AI spots the tumor, but the human talks to the patient and designs the care plan.
Okay, let's bring this all back together. We've gone on quite a journey here.
We have.
We started in that dusty, chaotic market, realizing our own brains are wired for unsupervised learning, finding order in chaos without a teacher.
Then we saw how that same mechanism is letting computers catch fraud, find diseases, and optimize. Well, everything.
And we landed on the hard truth about your career, that the choice, according to our source, is pretty stark. It's between missed opportunities and a competitive edge.
It really just comes down to engagement. You can't ignore this. The train has left the station.
Which brings us to our final thought. The industry source we looked at ended with a line that I think just cuts through all the noise.
It said, the question is no longer whether AI will impact your field. That's already answered.
The only question left is, are you ready?
That's it.
Are you ready? That's the question we're leaving you with. Take a look at your own daily tasks, your career path. Where can you stop sorting and where can you start spotting the patterns?
Don't wait for someone else to label the data for you.
Exactly. Be the unsupervised learner. Thanks for listening to this deep dive.
We'll catch you next time.